Good night, everyone, and welcome back to the Nocturnal Corner with Bat. Today is going to be another epic weapon showcase, and this time I decided I wanted to use the Argument. And the main reason for that is just because I remember the Summoner and I thought it used to be pretty good. I haven't tried it since they got nerfed though, but hey, this is supposed to be the upgraded one, so I was like, heck yeah, man, let's give it a shot. If you don't know what the Argument or the Summoner is basically a modified nail gun that's going to be shooting spiked rebar. Now, the perk on this thing actually helps the Argument quite well, and it's going to actually give you most of your DPS if you're accurate and skillful with your shots. However, it is a more skill weapon, so you're really going to have to try to know how to aim while having that charge up ability. Luckily for you, if you don't want to do that, you can also just single fire it, but you're probably going to have a little bit less DPS with that. Now, the perk on this bad boy is going to be every one shot, or not one shot, but every piece of rebar that makes contact is going to give you 30% reload, only for the first one, and then 5% charge up rate. So if you only single fire, you're only going to get one charge. The only way to get 4 stacks out of it, to get that 20% charge up rate, is you're going to have to charge it all the way up and actually make contact with all of your rebar that's going to be shot out of this thing. That's the only way you can get your 4 stacks, and it does actually help, and it is noticeable. Now, this thing, and I didn't go through this with the other weapons much, if you're going to be using this weapon, I'm going to tell you the drawbacks of it, just so you'll be prepared. The 3 drawbacks that this weapon has is that it's not very small, it has a decent hitbox, so it is rather easy for the enemy to strip it. Like, I had people shooting me with cannons, shotguns, you name it, and they were just peeling this weapon off. Now, saying that, you should automatically know what the second drawback is, and that's basically this thing has piss poor at best durability. You do not want to really go in there guns a-blazing trying to use that shotgun ability at close range unless the enemy is distracted by your team. Because as soon as they start shooting you, especially at close range, you're almost guaranteed to lose 1 or 2 of your arguments. Now, the third drawback, and this is only if you really use wheels, it's or if you're like pinned, you know, and you gotta like shoot down or whatever. If you have something like this where the armor is on the side, and I don't mean like that high, obviously you can't shoot, but the hitbox of the weapon, so say you see that front run right there, how it's in there and whatnot, the barrel actually can easily get blocked. So if somebody's hitting you on your side, or if you're using wheels like this or whatnot, you really want to pay attention because you're going to be shooting up in the air. And it's almost a guaranteed because I was messing around with it. However, there is 2 counters for that. You could just use Omni Wheels, Legs, or Hovers, so that way you're just aiming straight, you know, it has that mouse aim there. Or you can do basically the banana builds, just like this one, where you have that slope downwards and your guns are slightly lifted right over the panel so that way you can shoot around you. This actually made this one very helpful. Just giving you a heads up on those drawbacks, and that it is going to be a much more skillful weapon. Now, unlike the Jewel, this one is a lot easier to strip off weapons, especially if you're accurate, which this is what this weapon honestly feels like, is simply a stripper weapon. Because it doesn't really hit the body with a lot of force, but when you actually make contact with those guns, you'll notice that you'll be peeling stuff off rather fast. Now, just like the Jewel though, it's more medium range at best. So as long as you're not rushing in there and get yourself killed, and they're not just shooting you constantly, it's best at medium range, with the capability of close range. So if they are on you, again, you have basically a shotgun that you have to charge up. So that's where it's going to shine mostly. Now, long range though, it is possible, just like the Jewel, but as soon as you start hitting that long range mark, it's going to be scattering all over the place, and it's going to have some bad bullet drop. At most, and I actually was trying it in the video, you'll see, at most, you'll hit maybe 1 projectile if you're lucky. Now, with those drawbacks and the skill and everything that I explained, if you're going to use this weapon, just keep all that in mind. So, continuing on, we're going to be going just like the other videos in order of build that we're going to be showcasing. So, this is going to be our first right here, Nailed It by Crossout. I hope you said your name right, but this one's going to have 3 summoners, the Dead Man Cabin, and Hermit Wheels. So the Dead Man Cabin is going to help boost the reload, but in all honesty, this weapon, if you are making your shots, you really don't need a reload module because it actually reloads pretty fast. But that's going to be our first one. Next up is going to be Badass for Me by Waka1666. Hope I said your name right as well, buddy. This one's going to have 3 arguments with the 4 Omni Wheels and a Catalina Cabin. It actually felt pretty decent when you're just aiming straight down, but honestly, Omni Wheels make a lot of weapons just feel good when you're just like strafing around. It's kind of like a hover but wheels. Next up is going to be User Blueprint 1, which obviously means he didn't name it at all, by CJ4444CJ. This one's going to be using that Toronto cabin. I hope I said that right. I never say that cabin's name right. With 3 arguments, and it's going to be on hovers. This one's going to have the guns a little bit more exposed, so that is dangerous. But as long as you're keeping your distance, you'll see you can actually lay down some damage. It might not be the greatest damage, but it does its job. That's going to be our 3rd contender. Lastly, and this is that one counter I was talking about to fix what was going on, is going to be this banana boy here, Nail Guns by Qtosafin. I honestly have no idea how you're supposed to say that one. Apologies. But in this case, if you look right up here, you can see it has double summoner and double arguments. Luckily I had 4 arguments, so this build is going to be a little different, as in I just replaced the summoners with 4 arguments. So this is going to be our only 4 argument build. And honestly, playing with this 4 argument build just kind of showcases that you really don't need reload modules or anything, because it kind of reloads pretty fast. So I guess that actually is going to be a positive for the argument. Now, I hope you guys enjoy the video. So pick your favorite spot on the ceiling with your bag of popcorn, and you have a great night, everyone. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe.